Hey guys, welcome back. Good to see you again, guys. Sorry I've been away for a little while. I've just recently come back from holiday and I haven't recorded any videos since I came back, and I realised that's no good. I need to do a video as soon as possible. So here it is. I've decided to do something a little bit different this time around. I wanted to try and create a sort of a sort of guide for Bloodborne, because I realised there's a friend of mine who's having a bit of trouble playing the game, and I realised I made a little mini playthrough for her at one point, but I realised maybe I should create a bit more of an extensive guide for the game, just to help, not only to help her, but also to help other people get a better understanding of Bloodborne's mechanics and all the essential stuff you need to know in order to get started and conquer the challenges that you're presented with as the game goes on. So, yeah, hope you enjoy, guys. Hope you enjoy, if I can explain this video correctly. And let's get started. So, right off the bat, basic controls. You control your character with the left stick, obviously. You can control him in any direction you want. So, run to the right, run to the left, run to the top, run to the bottom, etc., etc. You can also hold the stick gently in a direction to make him walk, which is useful for sneaking up on people and getting the drop on them. What else is there? You've also got, if you hold in a direction and tap the circle button, you've got a dodge. This lets you dodge enemy attacks and gets you a safe distance away whenever you need to. R3 is to lock on to enemies, and you can also tap the R3 stick, or the right stick, to change targets. So instead of moving the camera left or right when you're locked on, you basically change targets during combat. And if you hold a direction and hold the circle button, you will do a sprint. And sprinting costs stamina to use. So as soon as you run out of stamina, you won't be able to sprint anymore. So that's your basic movement. Now we'll move on to basic combat. So R1 is your basic light attacks. You can do as many as long as you have stamina to use them. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hacha! Wacha! Excellent. Little Bruce Lee going on here. Anyway, so moving on from R1, we have R2. If you tap it, you get a light thrusting punch. And if you hold it, you get a power attack, which is even stronger than your regular attacks, and deals far more damage to people, and can even stagger them if you use it from behind. I'll show that a little bit later, just to give an example. Moving on from that, you have L2, which is you won't be using L2 like to do strong attacks, because you can do a strong attack with the L2 as well. But L2 you'll mostly be holding like guns or torches or anything like that, and the L2 in that case will use like a bullet from the gun and so on. Then L1 is basically your transformation. Your weapons, each weapon in this game has a transformation state. They can change form, which unlocks a brand new moveset for the weapon. So for fists, as you saw earlier, I have just these attacks with untransformed, and then once I press L1 to transform, I have a brand new attack, which looks ridiculously stupid, might I add. Really stupid. But for other weapons, this will be extremely useful to get new movesets and that sort of thing. I'll show it later once I get a weapon. Don't you worry, because I can't really explain it that well right now. Anyway, I think that's mostly it for the time being. I'm just going to move on to the next section here, just to demonstrate enemy situations next. Also, if you're unfamiliar with the controls, you can look at these notes, because developers have left some notes for you to get accustomed to the controls. Alright, so moving on to the first bit here. We have this little werewolf who's munching on a corpse. Lovely jubbly. Normally this is the enemy that most people die to the first time, mainly because you have no weapon in your hand and no really physical way to kill him. And so, really, for the time being, for beginner players, I would say just avoid fighting him whatsoever. Just run straight past him. Just run straight past him. He'll be very pissed, but as long as you just keep running, remember to use the sprint. Also, while you're opening... Oh, shit, fuck. What? I forgot to mention, while you're opening doors, enemies can't attack you while you're performing the animation. Shit! Run! So if the werewolf attacks me while I'm opening the gate, he won't be able to attack me during the animation. I'll be invulnerable during the opening animation. Anyway, since we got past him, we are now in Central Yharnam, and we still don't have a weapon in our hand, so this is going to prove to be a bit of a problem. I mean, for new players anyway. Get past this guy. This guy will come after you and start trying to attack you. Pick up the blood vials over here by the lever. The corpses will glow with this sort of light, which is items that you can pick up. So if ever you look around and see any glowing objects in the distance, that's usually an item. Hello, Cleric Beast. Nice of you to serenade us with your distorted, beastly screams. Hang on a sec, we got a guy. Oh, fuck! Oh, I could have died. I'm surprised I didn't. Seems like you can't really attack people while they're climbing on ladders. Yeah. Oh, God's sake. Come on, then. God, since you asked for it. You are an absolute twat. Screw you and everything you stand for. Boom! So what I just did there is I walked under his swing, which is like a little diagonal swing that he used. I just walked onto it. I didn't dodge or anything. Just casually stepped to the side around him, and then what I did was use the charged R2 attack to basically stun him, because once you hit them from behind with a charged attack, they'll be stunned onto the floor and on one knee. At that point, you can use the R1 button to use what's called a visceral attack. These are your crit hits. They do a shit ton of damage once you pull them off. You can use it after you've parried someone using a gun, or by sneaking up behind them and holding the R2 button. Those are the only two forms of getting critical attacks off. Anyway, moving on from that. These are your lamps. These are like your checkpoints. As soon as you die, you'll return to these lamps, and you'll have to start from where these lamps are located. Also, another thing, these little lanterns by the windows or by doors or anything like that, these basically tell you that there are people inside the houses, and you can talk to them if you want to get, some story.
Oh, you must be a hunter, and not one from around here either. I'm Gilbert, a fellow outsider. You must have had a fine time of it. Yharnam has a special way of treating guests. Well, I don't think I could stand if I wanted to, but I'm willing to help if there's anything that can be done.
Yeah, I just want to. There you go. Just want to make sure.
Whatever your reasons might be, you should plan a swift exit. Whatever can be gained from this place, it will do more harm than good.
Okay, so Yharnamites aren't welcoming to strangers. Good to know. Good to fucking know. Alright, so normally what would happen by this point is that most players would probably die to the werewolf back at the clinic, but since I didn't die from anything getting up here, I can always use the lamp to get to the Hunter's Dream instead. And when you get to the Hunter's Dream, that's when you can finally pick up a weapon, and that's when I can finally start showing you how to deal with certain situations and give you some tips and tricks on how to deal with pretty much 90% of the enemies in the game, because these tricks and tips will help with at least 90% of them. Okay. Oh, turns out I can't. Oh no, I can. I can skip the cutscene. So, welcome to the Hunter's Dream. So, we get to choose our weapons here. So, to start off with, for beginning players, I would say the Hunter Axe is definitely the best weapon to use for beginners. It is even said in the guide, the official guide for Bloodborne, that the Hunter Axe is the best weapon for beginners to use. Mainly because the Hunter Axe is not only quite a powerful weapon, it scales with strength for one thing. Or actually no, it doesn't. No, it does, yeah, because it's got E in skill and D in strength. So yeah, it scales better with strength. Not by much though. But anyway, Hunter Axe, while being an incredibly strong weapon to begin with, it's also got a lot of utility in that, in its transformed state, it has quite a bit of range in order to catch enemies with. The normal state is quite short and one-handed, but the long version is like really good at catching enemies from a long distance. Not to mention it has the best attack in the game, which I will demonstrate in short order. But yeah, the guide for Bloodborne was written by a company called Future Press, which there's a YouTuber on YouTube called A German Spy, also known as France, and he was the one who play tested Bloodborne and wrote the guide for Bloodborne with the company that he works at, Future Press. And in the guide it stated that the Hunter Axe is the best weapon to use for beginner players. Also, I picked up a gun from another messenger thing by the stairs. There's two options that you get from the start. You get the pistol, and then you get the blunderbuss. The pistol, in my opinion, I believe is the best weapon because it's faster to use, and the parry timing is a lot better. I wouldn't worry about parrying right now. I want to just give the very basic stuff. Parrying is kind of a more intermediate kind of technique to learn. But the pistol is faster, whereas the blunderbuss is a little slower to draw, but it does a fair bit of damage, but really not that much. Honestly, I don't really like the shotgun that much, but I mostly prefer using the pistol. Plus, I've gotten used to it that much more. Also, forgot to mention, these little squares. So, let's start off with the top. So you've got inventory, this is basically all the items that you have on your character. So on the top here, as you can see, all the rows on the top, these are different categories of items that you pick up. So consumables are basically items that you can use yourself. So like throwable weapons like knives, or using molotovs or bombs, or they're basically stuff that you can use in combat to help you out. All I've got at the moment are Hunter's Mark, which is basically, it allows you to return to a checkpoint. However, you lose your currency by using it. So it's more of an emergency type of thing. If you're stuck in a place and you see no way of getting out, and you want to get out there in a hurry, you want to use this to get back to the checkpoint. So that's basically the main use of that. The notebook is for when you're playing online and you want to leave messages for other players. Sometimes people can leave helpful messages, or they can leave some not so helpful messages. It's kind of dependent on what the player is doing at the time, or how they feel at the time, whatever, that sort of thing. But yeah, those are my consumable items at the moment. These are your materials. They're your upgrade materials for your weapons. So if you want to upgrade a weapon later down the line, this is where the upgrade materials will be. These are your keys. So any keys you pick up for any doors, they'll be here. And this is your weapons. So yep, left-handed, right-handed weapons. This is the right-handed. This is the left-handed. You can tell by the portraits too which hand they belong in. This is your armor and your gems. I'll talk about gems in a little bit. Don't worry about that now. Runes are a little bit later into the game too, and chalices are for the random dungeons that you get a little bit later on. But yeah, these are the basic stuff you have to start with. And this section right here, the two squares on the left are basically your right-handed weapons. So these two, you can equip at least 2 weapons in the right hand on these 2 squares here. Same applies for the left hand, which is these 2 squares right here. So the squares on the right are for your left hand, and the squares on your left are for your right hand. I know, a little bit confusing, but that's how they've kind of done it. But yeah, if you ever want to equip more than 1 weapon in each hand, then that's what these little empty squares are for. And down here is your armor slot. So I've got my shirt, my bandages and trousers. I haven't got anything else at the moment. This is all I've got. And this one, this little row here, is your quick items. So remember when I said about the consumables, you can select any consumable in your inventory and put it in the quick select screen. This basically, if you look on the top left where my health and stamina are, there's a little box. There's a little square box under the stamina bar. Basically, once I select an item from the consumables section, I can press the square button when the item is displayed on the square on top. I'll demonstrate that right now. So I put the hunter's mark here. You can also add more items onto the quick select. So if I want to put the notebook on there, I can do that. So right now I can press the square button to use the hunter's mark if I want to, but I don't want to use that right now because I'm already here. I'm already at the place. If you press down on the D-pad, however, you can change your quick items, and that's if you want to, if there's something that you want to use very quickly, you can just tap down on the D-pad to keep changing the quick items. So that's useful if you have multiple items selected. And top one here is just your status. These are your levels and all the stats that you have in the game. So hang on, let's get a quick brief overview of the stats. So you have your level, you have your blood echoes, which is your currency and your experience. Insight is a little mechanic that it's used for co-op mainly, but it also has its own unique mechanic, which I won't explain right now. But it's also another form of currency as well in some instances, but it's not something I'd worry about too much right now. But anyway, let's go over the basic main stats at the very bottom. So you have vitality, which is your health, and you can increase the amount of health that you have by putting points into your vitality. You can only level up by using this doll right here. The doll will only become active once you gain 1 insight. This is from an item called a Madman's Knowledge, or if you fight a boss, you will automatically get 1 insight from seeing the boss instead of fighting it. Just seeing him will give you 1 insight. But once the doll becomes active, that's when you're able to level up your character. And so this is what I mean now. So vitality, if you level that up, that'll increase how long the health bar will increase on the at the top here, because it's quite small at the moment. But as soon as you level up vitality, it will increase further. And endurance governs your stamina. Same principle. Increase it, and it increases your stamina bar, which means you get to do more attacks. You're also able to dodge more frequently. Stamina is quite important in this game. The way that it works is quite unique to this series, because it's nothing like the Elder Scrolls games, where in the Elder Scrolls your stamina bar comes back really, really slowly. So in this instance, the stamina bar works perfectly for this game, because the stamina bar governs all of the actions that you do with your character. Dodging, attacking, sprinting, all of that. And if it worked exactly like the Elder Scrolls games, like Skyrim, then this game would be absolutely broken. You would not be able to perform any actions whatsoever with such a slow recovering stamina bar. So thankfully the stamina bar is the way it is, so that the game can run very well. So by increasing the stamina bar, or increasing the endurance stat, you basically allow yourself to do much more actions, so you can attack more frequently and so on. Now we move on to strength, which is basically it increases like the damage that you do with heavy weapons, so like big swords, big hammers, and so on. And when you level up stats in this game, it will let you wield other weapons too, because some weapons you won't be able to wield unless you have the required strength or skill in order to use them. So you need to have like a specific number of levels in a stat in order to use a weapon. But mainly strength, if you pump it up, it increases the damage you do with heavier weapons, so like the hammers and big swords and all that sort of jazz. Skill weapons is for your daggers and like fast weapons, so that increases the damage you do with those. Blood tinge increases the damage you do with guns, so if you want to play with a more gun oriented build, then blood tinge is the stat for you. and arcane is your magic. It increases the magic that you deal, and it also gives you the ability to access more magical spells in the game. Honestly, arcane is not all that great in this game. It's a bit crap, though that's just my opinion. I mean, other people have been able to make use of arcane, but I personally think it's not all that great. But yeah, the rest of it all here is just you have your HP, stamina on the right side in the middle here. You have your HP and then your stamina. Discovery is how frequently you'll be able to loot items off of enemies, because some enemies don't always drop their items. So if you increase the discovery by increasing the arcane stat, yeah, the arcane stat increases discovery as well. I mean, that's not all that useful, if I'm honest. No point leveling a useless stat to really do that with, if I'm honest. But yeah, that's kind of the basic stuff. You can look at this at your own leisure if you want to, and yeah, that's all the stuff that you need to know about this. And system is just if you want to quit the game and so on. But yeah, that's the menus. So now that we're done with that, let's get back into Yharnam and start killing some things. Start some killing. Alright. Righty. Small portable lantern. This hunting's shit. I should have read that. I should have read that a lot earlier. Otherwise that probably wouldn't have disappeared so quickly. Come on, loading. There we go. Right. Now let's move on to combat. Finally. Aha! We got some pebbles finally. So this is useful for baiting enemies' attentions if they're in a large group. All right. So this is your first enemy. This is a Yharnamite. Yharnamites by themselves are actually kind of useless. They're not that tough, to be honest. They're really slow. They're really basic in their attacks, and really not that dangerous at all. By themselves, anyway. The only thing that makes these guys dangerous is that they come in large groups. So, I mean, I'll talk about that as we get into it, but for now, there's just this guy. So, basic principle of combat you need to realize is that these enemies, like, they are... Well, no, what am I trying to say here? What you want to do in combat, mainly, is to... shit, I'm not doing it very well. What you basically need to do is to stay back as much as possible from enemies, and then once they've stopped doing all of their attacks, you basically move in for the attack once they've all stopped. This guy right here who's sitting down, not a problem. He takes a while to stand up from sitting down, so you can safely do a charge attack or something on him. So, and these guys with shields, really not much of a problem at all. Just knock them once, and they're dead. Simple, really. I mean, that's what I mean. Like, these guys by themselves are just absolutely worthless. They're useless. And now this is where they start getting a bit more dangerous, because they start coming in groups. So, main thing you want to do here is to take one at a time. Because, as I said before, they're useless by themselves, and the guys, like these normal guys here, they take one hit from your weapon most of the time, so they're nothing to really worry about. The only ones you really want to worry about, or the ones that take the most damage, are the ones with black coats. The ones with black coats have a lot more HP than the guys without black coats. So this guy, for example, this guy with the pitchfork, he will take more hits, about 3 specifically, more so than the other guys. So bear that in mind. If you're up against a group of more than one Yharnamite, it's usually best to take out the guys who aren't wearing black coats first, just to thin their numbers. Yeah, that's basically how you deal with that. If you go back down here, there's a little shortcut which you can open from the clinic. So I mean, you can go back down the street if you want to, instead of going all the way around like from the checkpoint like I did before. So yep, let him attack, and then R1 spam him to death. Alright, so transformed weapons, as I as I was saying before. So you have your regular hunter axe, which is the one you're wielding in one hand, and then as soon as you press the L1 button, it becomes a big two-handed axe, which has a shit ton of range. So, and it also unlocks a brand new moveset for your character, which I will demonstrate in short order. For now, we're going to go up here because there's a useful item that you can pick up in this area, which are Molotovs. Molotovs are really good for beast type enemies, because there are different enemy types in this game that are weak to certain elements. So for example, beasts, they are weak to fire, so using Molotov cocktails on beasts is really useful for dealing like a shit ton of damage to them. So you'll want to have some fire stuff on you, so Molotovs are really good for dealing damage to them. I'm not going to knock on the doors right now because they're not really that. There's no point to doing it right now. So yeah, okay. So with a big group like this, just back off, let them do their attacks. Oh, okay, I didn't back off enough. Just back off, let them do their attacks, and then go in for the counter attack. If there's ever a situation where you've used up all your stamina to attack people with, just make sure to back off. Like, don't stay in one place at all times. Just back off as soon as your stamina's low and let that stamina bar come back. Because if you just stand there and take all the abuse with no stamina, then you are going to die real quick. So there's no point in standing in one place for too long when you have, you know, basically nothing to attack with. So there's that. Also, another thing about this game too is this game likes to be a little unfair at times. They're well, not unfair, but it likes to put ambushes on you. For example, this guy, he's sitting down right now, but as soon as I walk behind this carriage or past this carriage, he will wake up and start shooting me in the back. So this game rewards being aware of your surroundings. So as soon as you walk anywhere, like as soon as you approach any area, always make sure to have a look around to make sure that there's no one getting ready to get a sneak attack off on you. So, for example, like if you're new to this area and you like start walking this way, like stand behind this like wheel here or something, and then look over the wall. And normally, oh shit! And also that, just be aware that there might be some guys who will just pop up unexpectedly. There are a set number of areas. He didn't just like spawn out of nowhere. He probably patrolled past me at one point and I didn't realize he was there. But yeah, just be aware of your surroundings at all times and always make sure that there's no one there to get the jump on you. Make sure you get the jump on them. There's another two examples of this just coming up right now. So right here, as soon as I pick up this item, surprise! So make sure when you're walking up these stairs, just remember that he's right there. He's hiding behind the boxes just over this wall. So just make sure to remember that he's there. And then we have another surprise coming up. Walk very slowly and back away, and here he is. Just like that. So as soon as you know where exactly they're going to come from, then you can get the upper hand on them. Alright, now this section right here, this section is incredibly tough. Like that's, you know, understatement of the year obviously. But, okay, so the way I dealt with these guys the first time was that I threw a pebble at one at a time so that I can draw them out, slow as possible. Stay back, and then attack, back off, attack again, back off, and then attack again. Alright, so there's more of them now. Now in this situation, just back off, let them do what they want. R1, back off. R1, back off. R1, back off. R1, R1, R1. See, you don't need to panic whatsoever. You don't need like crazy skill in order to beat enemies in this game. You only need to be methodical with how you approach enemies. That's all it is. The enemies in this game, like, they're not all of them are that different to each other. The tricks that I'm using right now will work on like 90% of enemies in this game. The only difference is some of them are bigger than others, so you'll need to keep a bit more of a distance between the bigger guys compared to these regular dudes. So that's the only difference, really. The only difference, but bosses, on the other hand, bosses are a different story altogether. But regular mobs, just stay away from them and then attack them whenever the opportunity presents itself. And that's all it is. That's all there is to it. No need for crazy parrying skills or dodges or anything like that. Just take it nice and slow. Gradually build yourself up. Just like take on one at a time, or take on two at a time at best. And that's all there is to it. Just take them on slowly. No need to be crazy. And also don't run off like too far ahead, otherwise you'll trigger new enemies in an area. That's all there is to it. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention the combos for the weapons. So Hunter Axe in its one-handed form has these horizontal swings, and then a slam at the end of it, at the end of the combo. And then R2 is a slam attack, which you can use to catch people off guard if they approach you. You can also charge it to do more damage. You can also, oh, I forgot to mention, you can, if you press circle while standing still, you do a backstep. I don't use this very often, but it's there if you want to. I don't know. It's there for the most part. You can also backstep and then press R1 to do an attack. You can also, after dodging, you can also attack. If you hold the stick in a direction and press circle, you'll do a dodge, and you can use the R1 after the dodge to do an attack. So there's that. There's a lot of things to experiment with here in this game, but for the most part, for beginners, like, just take it easy on these guys. Take it easy. One. Oh. Make sure you have the right amount of distance too. Okay, yep. And then, oh. Also, L2 with this weapon, instead of using a gun or torch, you have big sweeps. Big sweeps. You can press it twice to do big sweep attacks. Like so. That's the advantage that this weapon has, is range. You have range over the enemies, and so you should take advantage of the range that you have with this. Take full advantage of it if you need to, because it's really good for that. It is really good for ranged play. Alright, so this is what I was on about earlier with sneak attacks. If an enemy's not looking at you, you can easily hold the stick gently forward to walk, and then as soon as you're right up behind him, just wait for it, and then hold the R2 button, do that, walk up to him, and then press the R1. And you get to perform a visceral attack on him. Simple as that. It's really easy, especially if enemies have purposefully turned their backs on you. So I mean, there's that. Oh, thing I forgot to mention too is that there are gunners on the other side of this place. You probably know this already since you've done it already. But when you're dragging enemies back here, always make sure to drag them past this little carriage here. Once you're past this little carriage area, the gunners are unable to shoot you. So you're safe so long as you stay away from the gunners. This guy right here will take bloody forever to walk because he's got a shield. While he's coming our way. So I showed you the one-handed moves. So this is the two-handed. The first one is a sweep. It's a sweep attack, so it catches multiple people at once. The second one is an overhead swing. The overhead is really, really useful if you're in a tight corridor and you don't want your weapons getting hit off walls. Because weapons bounce off walls in this game if you whack walls with a horizontal strike. So in these situations where you're in a tight corridor, you'll want to use overhead strikes, like so. You can even combo it, so R2 is your overhead, is that one, that's R2, and if you press R1 after doing the R2, provided you have stamina of course, you can do a follow-up overhead swing, so you can get more damage in on people, which is very useful, provided you have stamina. You have to always keep an eye on your stamina bar when you're doing attacks. If you don't have enough stamina to do any more attacks, then immediately just dash backwards, like hold back on the left stick and just back off. Just learn to. You'll get the hang of it eventually. If not at the start, you will get a hang of stamina management, because stamina management is important for your survival. Alright, we got some more guys coming up. And again, same tricks as before, just back off, and then that's it, and back off. And then like so. Simple as that. Nothing crazy, nothing like outlandishly skillish. Skillish? Nothing outlandish about it, just. Also, guns, don't have to worry so much. They're not as fast as they seem when they shoot you. So, okay. So there's a shield guy left. I would save your Molotovs for a little bit later, but for now, pull this guy out. Wait for him to come in all his majesty. My God, you take forever, dude. Alright, that's good. One attack will knock his shield away, and then the second one will finish him off. Simple as that. Okay. Ooh. No need to panic when the guns shoot you. They're not as fast as they look. I promise you, they're not as fast as they look. They may seem intimidating at first, but once you realize how slow the projectiles actually are, you can take full advantage of the dodge and, you know, being able to attack them, because they're useless when you get up to their face. They can still shoot you when you get up to their face, but like, you just have to make sure by that point that you're attacking them. But anyway, as I did there, just hide behind the pillar until he stops shooting, and then he will turn his attention away from you. By that point, just get the drop on him. Okay, watch out for the dog right here. Just hang back, wait for it. Wait for it. Gunner doesn't seem to be doing anything, so should be fine for now. Just wait for the dog to go back. Wait for the dog. Okay. Then hang around behind this car. Wait for the dog to. Oh, hang on. Dog's coming this way, so in that case, go to the other side. Go to the other side and just walk very slowly. Just very slowly. Oh, God's sake. Alright, well. You have to wait until the dog comes around then. Just make sure to stay behind the carriage. You should be fine. Shoot the dog. Then, that's it, stay behind the carriage. Okay, well that's how I did it, but mainly what you do with dogs, just shoot them until they're on the floor, then immediately get up to them as soon as possible, and then start hacking away at them. Don't be afraid to keep pressing the button as soon as they're getting back up. Don't be afraid. Just kill the mutts. Just kill them. Now for this guy, sneak up behind him, do a charged R2, and then R1. Voila! And that's the street cleared. See? Just like that. Very, very simple, very easy. Nothing to worry about. If you start panicking and start worrying if you're not locking onto people correctly and you start panicking, don't worry about it. Just get yourself into a position where you can lock onto them safely. Make sure your character's facing the enemies and make sure you lock onto them. But just don't panic whatsoever. As soon as you start panicking, that's when it's over. You want to keep a cool head as much as possible, because that's what this game does to you. This game induces that fear into you of being assaulted by an endless amount of enemies. So don't give in to the fear whatsoever. Just don't give in, and you'll be fine. I promise. Alright, over here we got a bloodstone shard. Excellent. This is your upgrade material that you need to upgrade your weapons, because levels in this game don't significantly increase the damage that you deal. It's actually upgrading the weapons with the shards that you pick up. You need about 3 shards to upgrade the weapon once to get it to +1. So bear that in mind. Just have a look around the place for bloodstone shards. Alright, now this bit, the troll, I realise this is the bit where you had a little bit of trouble with. So, first things first, let's go around here and take care of these little birds here. Ah, now the one move I forgot to mention was the charged R2 attack of this weapon. This attack is the best freaking attack in this game, period. Watch this, as soon as I get their attention. Back off, don't worry. And don't worry if they hit you once, because there's a system in the game where a few seconds after you get struck, you can hit the enemy again to get your health back. I'll demonstrate it a little bit here. So you see on the top left there, where my health was, like, had a little bit on the right. You can pause the video if you want, as soon as I get hit by the bird, and take a look at it. But once you have that little pink little line above your health, or next to your health bar, that's how much health you can get back if you hit the enemy within the time that it's there. So when enemies hit you, so long as you keep attacking them, you can get your health back. That's called the regain system. So don't worry if you get hit by an enemy once. If you strike back at them quick enough, you can get it all back without having to use a vial. Vials are with the triangle button, obviously, and your bullets are used with your L2. There we go. Alright, so behind these is an oil urn. Oil urns are really good because they, if you use it on, especially beast enemies, if you use oil urns on beasts, it covers them in oil, and then once they're covered in oil, you can use a Molotov cocktail to deal a shit ton of damage to them, because Molotov cocktails, they deal a certain number of damage, like normally, but oil urns double the damage that Molotov cocktails do to enemies. Alright, so now for this troll. Now the best move to use against this is, well, one of the ways you can deal with it is, right now, if you want to, you can use an oil urn, chuck it at him, and then follow it up with a Molotov cocktail by pressing down on the D-pad. Make sure you have the 2 selected in the quick select item bar. Or, I prefer to save my oil urns for now, but for now, the best attack that I think is really useful for this guy, wait for him to attack first, just back off, yep, don't worry, and then charged R2! And then do it again. And he's dead. Charged R2 on the Hunter Axe is really good for this guy. Don't be afraid to use it again as soon as he gets up. Just hold that button down and spin to win, baby. Spin to win. Spin to win, even. So that's another way to deal with it. If you want, you can throw an oil urn at him and then throw a Molotov cocktail. That's perfectly fine too. And then as soon as he gets really low on health with those two, shoot him with a gun. That's the safest way you can deal with him. But you won't always have oil urns and Molotov cocktails to rely on, so that's just something I want to let you know. Because there's more than one of those guys in this area. Right, dogs. Shoot them, and then attack them. Draw one out at a time, obviously. Okay, let's equip a pebble. Okay, so we've got a guy in a black coat. We've got a regular guy without a coat who takes more damage from me. Then we've got a dog. And we've also got a rifleman too. Somewhere around here. So wait for these guys to make their pass. Oh shit. Don't panic. Don't panic. Just get some space. Get some space between you and the enemies. Make sure you block their line of sight. If the dog's really low on health, just shoot it. Like, there's no harm in just shooting that much. Use the environment to block the rifleman's shots. So dodge backwards, use these little railings here to block it. Or another way you can do it is to walk up to the well here. Walk up to the well, block his shot, shoot the dog, attack him. Don't worry if he shoots you once, it doesn't do that much damage. Use the well to block him, then immediately get in there and get him. Like, just as quick as possible. Make sure you get up to him as quick as you can, otherwise he will shoot you in the face again. Alright, now this is where the oil urns and Molotovs come very useful. I mean, these next two enemies are extremely tricky. They are really tough. Like, there's no shame if... well, I mean, I'll probably end up dying to these right now, in fact, but... Normally, what I normally do in most playthroughs is just run straight past them, but I know that can be a daunting task, because look at these guys, they're incredibly fucking scary. And they're really tough as well, these werewolves. They're one of the tougher enemies in this game too. They're extremely fast, their attacks are highly unpredictable, and in general they're just a pain in the ass. And one of them has just spotted me, I think. Nope, but both of them have. Oh, this ain't good. Okay, don't worry. Don't worry, don't worry. Don't panic. Just don't panic. If there's just one, if there's one of them, don't panic. Throw an oil urn at him. Get out of the way. Just dodge to the sides with these guys. Don't dodge backwards. Then throw a Molotov at him. Okay. Okay. This is bad. This is bad. Just keep dodging backwards. Don't panic. Don't panic. Molotovs are really good against these guys. If you can aim them properly. Okay. Whew. I probably wouldn't recommend fighting them, to be honest. I don't know. I think the best course of action would probably be just to run the fuck away from them. Like, just, if anything, maybe what you could do is just bait them out, maybe get them down the stairs here, and then try, if you can, to run past them. Just fucking dash, like just dash right past. Just like don't bother with those guys whatsoever. Because they are extremely tough. Yeah, so this guy will come out to ambush you as per usual. Oh, and the brick troll that we just killed, there was a torch near him. So if you equip the torch on the other square right here, you can then switch with the left on the D-pad. You can switch between the gun and the torch. So now this will illuminate the dark area that we're about to walk into. Right here. So this will help you see the guy right here and some other guys who are hiding out in this building. Don't worry. Let him do his attack and then hit back. Okay, so there's two more guys down here. There's one hiding behind the pillars here. You can... oh no, never mind, he spotted me. I thought you could get a sneak attack off on him, but apparently not. You can, however. There is a guy right here. Do not be deceived. This guy is actually an enemy. This old man in a wheelchair is a very, very well, he's not very dangerous, if I'm honest. He's I mean, if you let him shoot you, he's quite dangerous, but just sneak up behind him, just slowly, and then power attack him. Dead. Simple. Pungent blood cocktails. If you're having trouble with the werewolves at any point, pungent blood cocktails are really good for luring them away, because they'll be they're like a distraction tool to get them out of your way. So if you equip them onto your quick select bar and then select them on the top left there, if you press the square button and chuck it in a direction somewhere, The weapons, the items in this game have like an arc to them when you throw them. So, and where you throw them is dependent on where your camera is aimed at. So if I'm aiming higher up with the camera, then the arc will increase with the camera. Not the camera. The arc will increase where you're chucking the item. So, don't know if I'm explaining that very well. So for example, if I'm looking at the floor here with the camera and I throw this blood cocktail at it, I'll hit the floor directly. But if I'm looking further up, a little bit further up, I'm probably going to hit the ceiling with this. But if you look just a tiny bit up, you can throw it a little bit further at a distance. The main thing you want to do is just, you know, make sure you throw it somewhere where the werewolves are going to attack away from you. That's mainly what it's used for. It's to distract them and get an advantage on them. Unfortunately, you have to actually get past the werewolves in order to get this, which is a bit counterintuitive in my opinion. So, I mean, there's that. Alright, so now you open this little door here, and then you walk up these stairs, deal with this guy, same as before. Don't worry if he's doing that, just stay back. There we go. And then we get another bloodstone shard. And you know what the best thing about this is? Wait until you see it. I am immediately back at the checkpoint. So now, instead of going all the way down there and going past all of those guys down the street with the burning crucifix thing, you can just go right here as soon as you respawn and just carry on where you left off. That is a shortcut. There are plenty of shortcuts in this game. So as soon as you find the shortcuts, your life will be made a shit ton easier in this game. So make sure to always go different paths, because they may lead to a shortcut of some description. So there's that. Now down here, as soon as you go down here, there's 2 of these brick trolls. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Oh fuck that shit! I'm not dealing with that. I mean, I wouldn't blame you, to be honest, because I thought the exact same thing when I saw these guys. But the same tricks apply to these guys as with the Yarnamites to some extent. They're a little bit. You'll probably have to back off just a little bit more with these guys, because they cover a bit of a distance sometimes. They sometimes cover a bit more of a distance, but the same tricks still kind of apply. But the main thing you want to use with these guys is the two-handed axe form. The two-handed axe form is a godsend for these guys. Or, if you have Molotovs left, just use it against them. Just stay out of range, kill them that way. Bear in mind, you won't always have Molotov cocktails to rely on, so in that case, you'll have to proper fight them. Don't worry if he charges at you like that, just back off at the right time. Don't back off immediately, just wait for it a little bit. There you go, and then spin a win, baby! Spin a win! In my honest opinion, you have picked the best weapon for this, in my opinion. The Hunter Axe is a godsend for this part of the game. If you're starting out for the first time, it is absolutely fantastic. So make full use of this weapon if you can. Make use of the spin to win, and just go fucking nuts. Just go nuts on it. Not too nuts, just go a little bit nuts. But yeah, that's basically it. Now I've opened another shortcut where as soon as you get to the, as soon as you start from the lamp, what you do now is just run down these steps. Don't worry about the brick trolls down there. You don't have to worry about them anymore. You just run past here, and then immediately you can get straight past them. So you won't have to worry about fighting them ever again. Never again. Then once you get down here, you'll get to the dog pens, which you won't have to worry about too much. All you have to make sure is that you kill the dogs in the cage. I do it all the time just because I don't want any dogs to. Oh shit! Yeah, be careful of that one. That one will come out of his cage. That's it. Just shoot him, attack him, dead. Job done. That's it. Nothing to worry about. Just shoot him and then attack him once with a Hunter Axe, and he's gone. Hunter Axe is really powerful. Really, really powerful. and can help you in a lot of situations. It has a lot of utility, and quite frankly, it is a godsend. It is a fantastic weapon. Like throughout the whole game as well, it is a really good weapon to just use throughout the whole game if you want to. But there is no disadvantage to using a hunter axe for the whole game if you want to. Now this dog, you can sneak up on him and do a charged attack, and just like that. Unfortunately, I do not. I do not know of any safe places yet. I will do after beating the first boss. After the first boss has been, you will know of a couple of safe places. Now this little section here, you can go one of two ways. You can either roll through these barrels right here, in the most comedic fashion possible, and you'll have a path which leads up into the rafters above the sewer level. Or another option is to go down here, but at the risk of fighting this guy. Now, same rules apply with this guy as the Yarnamites. Just wait for him to attack, and then also spin to win. Spin to win, baby. Or just do regular attacks. That's it. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. So, right, so we go on the rafters up here, and if you want to attack these on the chain here, make sure your camera's aiming down so that you're facing it, and then press the R1 button at a safe distance, and then the corpse will fall down to the bottom. You can then loot it once you get down there. Okay, so Cold Blood Dew. Those are like your little piggy banks. If you pop them, hang on, let me have a look. I may have picked up quite a few items now. Cold Blood Dew. So you use this to get blood echoes, and you can also use multiple of the same item if you have multiples. So I have 3 of them right now, so if I want, I can burst open all 3 and get blood echoes out of it. They're like your piggy banks. You break open the piggy banks to get your change. That's basically what they are. So there's that. And if you're ever like short on blood echoes for a level, then you can pop a bunch of those to get that much needed level that you want in order to level up. Alright, so now we're done here. That way leads to an NPC that you can talk to. So I'm going to smash through these barrels. Don't attack that person because she is a friendly. Instead what you do is just walk up to her and just press X to talk to her.
A hunter, are you? And an outsider? What a mess you've been caught up in. And tonight of all night here, to welcome the new one.
There we go.
Prepare yourself for the worst. There are no humans left. They're all flesh-hungry beasts now.
Alright, yeah, so she just gave me a bunch of bold hunter's marks. They basically function exactly the same as the hunter's mark that you get from the start of the game, except you don't have the penalty of giving up all of your blood echoes. So instead you just go back to the checkpoint and you don't lose anything at all. These are much better than the regular hunter's mark. The regular hunter's mark is more for emergencies, if you don't have any of the bold versions of that. So the bold version is the one in yellow, and the regular one is this one. Never use this one, like never at all. In my opinion, never use it. Just use these ones if you have them on hand. Or if you don't care at all about losing any of the blood echoes, then don't worry about it. Like if you don't care about losing them at all, then fine, you can use it that way. Just make sure that you live in order to pick them back up. Because you do lose them in this game, and you get one chance to get your blood echoes back. And if you die again without picking them up, then you lose them forever. Some enemies can pick them up, and they'll have like purple glowing eyes when they pick up your blood echoes. So if you kill them, they will give you back your money. Same thing here. This guy, sneak up and then do a charged attack, and then press R1. Boom, dead. Oh, watch out for the gunner too. Just hang around these little bits here. Okay. This is a damn curse. There you go. That's how you deal. There are a bunch of rats down there, so we won't worry about that right now. So this guy, same deal. Well, as I've said already. Oh, the range is beautiful on this thing. Oh shit. Okay. Don't panic. Make sure, if you ever get hit from this guy and then you ever think to yourself, oh shit, I've got to back away as soon as possible, just calm down, just back away slowly onto this bridge, because if you dodge backwards, you'll risk falling off down here and you'll end up triggering more enemies. So don't panic as soon as you get hit at all in this game. Just don't panic whatsoever. Just take it easy and you'll be fine. You will be fine, I promise. Okay, so now we drop down here, and then, as I showed you last time, there's a Madman's Knowledge inside of this little tunnel here with the rats. The Madman's Knowledge will give you insight, which allows you to use the Beckoning Bell, but also it allows you to access the doll, which allows you to level up. So there's also that. Okay, kill the rats. So the thing that I just picked up from the corpse here that fell off the rafters was a saw spear, which is another weapon that you can use if you want to. I mean, personally, it's not as good as the hunter axe. So I'd say the hunter axe is definitely the weapon of choice, the best weapon of choice, especially for beginners. So I definitely get used to that to start with. And but if you want to test it out, then by all means, there's no penalty for doing so. These rats. Same principle, back off, let them do their attacks, and just get them. There we go, Madman's Knowledge. Then you can use that whenever you want. It's like the Cold Blood Dues. You pop it open in order to get the insight. It's like a piggy bank for knowledge instead of money. So, I would avoid climbing this ladder because you will immediately start getting shot by guys up here. So I wouldn't bother with it whatsoever. Be careful around this area because you'll get a bunch of birds that'll drop down and surprise you. So just be aware of that. Or maybe not. Maybe they won't. Okay, so we're in the sewer area now, and climb up this ladder, and this will give you access to another shortcut once I get over to this side where I'm looking at with the camera right now. Once I get up that ladder on the far end over there, as you can see, I'll open a new shortcut for myself. Over here, bunch of birds. You can attack them through the railings too. You can use one-handed if you want, but two-handed is also a good option for killing these birds. And the birds drop pebbles too. So if you ever need any more of those stones to drag people out, then by all means. This guy, another troll, but luckily he's turned all the way back. He's got his back turned to you, so all you can do here is just charge attack, and then R1. And he's dead. Simple. The game, the main thing's just to, I know I've probably said this enough times already, but the main thing just to be aware of in this game is just, you have to be aware of your surroundings, but also you have to be aware of what the enemies are doing. If there's something that you don't understand, if there's an enemy that's doing an attack you don't understand, then just hang back. Don't bother to do anything crazy. Don't attack them or anything like that. If they're doing like a wild frenzy attack or anything like that, then just hang back and watch them. Watch the enemy's movements, then counter whenever you see an opportunity. No need to do anything crazy or anything like out of the ordinary. Just hang back, observe, and then find the right time to attack. That's all it is. That's all there is to this game's combat, and that's basically how you really succeed at doing it. And yeah, that's hopefully you've been able to learn all the different tricks and tips in order to help you combat the challenges in Bloodborne, and I really hope you enjoy the game as a result if you end up trying it out once again. And if you don't end up liking the game, then that's fine, because to be honest, Bloodborne is a challenging game, and if it's not to your taste and you think you're not up to it, then that's fine. I completely understand. It's not everyone's cup of tea, and you know, I'm at least happy in the knowledge that you gave it a good try instead of not giving it a try at all. Then that really makes me happy. But yeah, hopefully, if you do find these tips useful and are able to play this game quite effectively and play it all the way to the end, great. That makes me really happy if you can do that and you can conquer the challenges and be the hunter that you're meant to be. Be the one that's feared instead of being afraid of the beasts. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching, guys, and hopefully I shall see you next time. I hope you enjoyed this game if you ever get a chance to play it again, and see you soon, my friend.